There once lived a young woman named Clara who believed that kindness was the only thing that made life truly beautiful. She worked at a small bakery in a quiet town where people came not just for bread, but for the warmth of her smile. Her life was simple, and she never expected anything grand in return for what she gave to others. She had learned from her late mother that goodness has its own timing, and that even if the world forgets your kindness, the heavens never do. Every morning Clara would wake before the sun stretched across the rooftops, and she would begin to prepare the dough. Her hands were rough from years of work, but her heart was soft like the fresh loaves she baked. She would hum gentle tunes and speak softly to the birds that sat by the windowsill, as if sharing her thoughts with them. When customers came, she listened to their worries and offered not advice, but comfort. She had a way of making pain feel smaller. One winter day when the wind was sharp and the streets were empty, a frail old man entered her bakery. He looked tired and hungry. His clothes were torn, and his eyes carried the weight of many forgotten years. Clara welcomed him with the same warmth she showed everyone. She gave him a fresh roll and a cup of warm tea without asking for payment. The man looked at her and said softly, "You do not even know my name, and yet you give me food. Why?" Clara smiled and replied, "Because hunger does not wait for names, sir." The man lowered his head and tears filled his eyes. He said, "Bless you, child. You have given me more than food. You have given me dignity." Days turned into weeks, and the old man became a regular visitor. He would sit near the corner of the shop and watch Clara work silently. He never spoke much, but always smiled as if finding peace in her presence. Then one day he stopped coming. Clara noticed his absence and asked around, but no one had seen him. She worried, but she prayed that wherever he was safe. Years passed and Clara continued her life the same way, spreading kindness like sunlight that asked for nothing back. Her bakery became known in nearby towns not for luxury, but for love. People would say that even one bite of her bread could calm an anxious heart. Yet despite her good heart, life was not easy. Rent grew higher, ingredients became expensive, and she often chose to feed others instead of herself. Still, she never complained, believing that goodness finds its way home. One rainy night when thunder echoed through the valley, Clara was closing her shop. She heard a soft knock at the door. When she opened it, a young man stood there soaked from the rain. He looked lost and pale. She invited him in and offered him a towel. He said, "I have been walking for hours trying to find shelter. Everything is closed." She smiled and said, "You are welcome here. Sit near the fire." She gave him soup and warm bread and listened to his story. He was searching for work and had no family left in town. Clara saw in him the same hunger she once saw in that old man. She told him he could stay in the small room behind her bakery until he found a job. The young man was surprised. "No one has ever trusted me so quickly," he said. She replied, "Trust grows faster when watered with kindness." The young man, whose name was Peter, began helping Clara at the bakery. He cleaned tables, carried flour bags, and soon learned to bake under her gentle guidance. For the first time in years, Clara felt that she had a son to care for, and Peter felt he had found the home he lost. Weeks later, something unexpected happened. A luxurious car stopped outside the bakery. A man in a suit stepped out and asked for Clara. He looked wealthy and confident. He said, "Are you Miss Clara, the one who owns this bakery?" She nodded nervously. He handed her a letter sealed with gold and said, "Someone left this for you long ago." Clara opened the letter carefully. Her eyes widened as she read the words. It said, "To the kind baker who once fed an old man without asking for his name, your kindness saved my life years ago. I had lost everything, but that day you gave me bread and hope. I promised myself that if I ever rebuilt my fortune, I would find you and repay your light. The bakery you stand in now belongs to you, but so does something greater." Inside the envelope she found papers of ownership to the entire building and a note that said, "You taught me that love is real even among strangers. Use this gift to spread more warmth." Her hands trembled. She looked up to the man and asked, "Who was he?" The man smiled and said, "He was my father. He passed away last year, but his last wish was that I deliver this to you. He never forgot your kindness, not even for a day." Clara stood silent for a long moment. Her heart felt both heavy and light. The sound of rain outside softened as if the world itself paused to listen. She whispered a prayer for the old man, and tears rolled down her cheeks, not of sadness, but of gratitude. She had never asked for reward, and yet life had returned her gift multiplied. Peter watched her from the corner, unsure what was happening. Clara handed him the letter and said, "Read this, my dear. This is proof that kindness never vanishes. It only waits for the right time to come back." Peter smiled and said, "You deserve this more than anyone I know." Clara looked at him and replied, "No, Peter, we deserve this. We will make this bakery a place of hope for everyone who needs warmth." From that day forward, the bakery changed not in appearance, but in spirit. Clara began giving free loaves every evening to anyone hungry, She told Peter this bread is not just food, it is love in its simplest form. Peter nodded and said, I will help you bake more, and together they worked from dawn till dusk, filling the air with the scent of fresh bread and peace. Word spread quickly about the little bakery that gave without asking. In a world that often measured value by money, people found something priceless within its walls. Strangers began leaving notes of thanks, some left flowers, others quietly paid for the bread of those in need. Each act of giving inspired another, and soon the whole town seemed softer, lighter. Months passed. Clara grew older, but her smile never faded. Peter became her right hand, and together they built not a business, but a family. One evening a little girl came in holding a small coin. She said, my mother has been sick, and I have only this. Clara took the coin, gently placed it back in the girl's hand, and said, keep it, sweetheart, go home and tell your mother she will be fine. The girl ran out smiling, clutching the bread like a treasure. Later that night, Clara sat near the window watching the stars. She thought of her mother, who once told her that kindness is like a candle, it may melt away, but it lights the path for others. She closed her eyes and whispered, thank you for teaching me to give. Years turned to decades. The bakery became a legend. The townspeople called it the house of warm bread. But to Clara it was simply home. One morning Peter found her chair empty, and her apron neatly folded. She had passed away peacefully, leaving behind not sorrow but light. The town mourned her, but they also celebrated her life. Peter kept the bakery open in her name, and placed a wooden sign above the door that read SoulWhisper, where every story speaks to your heart. Beneath it, he carved her words, trust grows faster when watered with kindness. People from far away visited the bakery to feel what they called the echo of Clara's soul. Peter never grew tired of telling her story. He would say, once there was a woman who believed that goodness never disappears, and she was right, because here you are standing where her kindness still breathes. Years later Peter grew old too, and before he closed his eyes for the last time he whispered a prayer. May this bakery always remind people that love and compassion never die, only change hands. He smiled and drifted away like a feather carried by gentle wind. The bakery remained standing even as new buildings rose around it. Generations came and went, and still the smell of fresh bread greeted every morning. The story of Clara and the old man became a lesson told in schools and homes. A simple act of kindness had grown into a circle that never ended. One evening a traveler passing through the town saw the bakery lights glowing softly. He entered curious and felt a calm he could not explain. He bought a loaf, and as he took the first bite he felt tears on his cheeks. He asked the baker, who runs this place? The baker smiled and said, no one runs it alone, it belongs to kindness itself. The traveler left with warmth in his heart, and as he walked through the night, he whispered to himself, I will start something good when I reach home. And somewhere far beyond the clouds Clara's soul smiled, because kindness had once again found a new beginning. The moral was never written on paper, it lived in hearts that touched other hearts. Every loaf baked, every smile shared, every tear dried carried the same message. Kindness may take time, but it always returns like morning light after the longest night. So when the wind passes through that small town and brushes against the old sign reading SoulWhisper, it feels as though the earth itself is whispering her truth. Be kind, and the world will find you again.